Hello everyone. Kitty the Storyteller welcomes you to episode 6, The Wounding of Horus. In our previous episode, the mighty uranium fleet emerged from the magnificent Starlane. Its black warships cast enormous shadows across the peaceful world of Horus. Morvain had arrived, not to erase a civilization, but to place its future beneath his command. Across Horus, people gathered in silence as they watched the sky. The elders remembered ancient prophecies that one day strangers would descend from the heavens. Within hours, every great kingdom, every floating observatory, every solar temple turned their eyes toward the enormous flagship that darkened the skies. Then, a beam of violet light descended gently from the void sovereign. From it emerged Morvain, followed by the Shadow Council and hundreds of towering Iron Legion guardians. No weapon was raised. No city was attacked. Morvain wanted something far more valuable than victory. He wanted obedience. The rulers of Horus gathered before him. They stood beneath the magnificent crystal sun temple, where the ancient solar convergence fields had once been created centuries before. Morvain looked upon the temple with admiration. So, this is where your ancestors mastered solar frequency. He smiled quietly. The legends were true. One elder stepped forward. "Who are you?" Morvain answered calmly, "I am Morvain, Supreme Guardian of Ferrumis. My world is dying. Your world possesses the power that can save it. You have two choices. Join my empire and both our civilizations shall prosper. Refuse and I shall take what Ferrumis requires." The council refused immediately. Horus belongs to no conqueror. For several moments, Morvain remained completely silent. Then, he raised one hand. High above, dozens of Titan carriers slowly moved into formation. The Shadow Council looked nervously toward their master. "My lord, the Oblivion lands?" Morvain thought and slowly shook his head. "That weapon ends worlds. I require this world to be alive." Instead, he issued another command. "Reduce the lands to minimum frequency with one mild warning shot." Above Horus, waves spread across the skies. The mountains trembled. The oceans rose. Entire valleys shook violently, but without destroying a single city. Brilliant rivers of golden energy burst into the heavens. The ancient solar engines hidden beneath the planet for thousands of years were suddenly exposed. Morvain smiled. Massive energy harvesters descended from the fleet. Within hours, the solar currents of Horus glowed through colossal frequency conduits into the waiting uranium fleet across the stars. On distant Ferrumis, the impressive skyline shimmered once again. Hovercraft zoomed around skyscrapers. silent factories glowed back into life. The broken core vault slowly regained its brilliance. For the first time in centuries, Ferrumis breathed again. The Shadow Council erupted in celebration. Our world lives again. But Morvain never celebrated. He continued staring toward Horus. For every pulse of energy Ferrumis received, another scar appeared upon the beautiful world below. Its skies dimmed. The golden rivers weakened. Its living harmony slowly faded. Horus was not dying, but it was bleeding. Far beyond space, far beyond time, a single ancient soul drifted through the endless currents of cosmic frequency. For centuries, it had wandered in silence, watching, waiting, remembering. It was the soul of Tharian, the last guardian of Horus. Centuries ago, he was a savior who had brought an entire buried civilization to the surface. He had raised them from beneath the earth and awakened the solar convergence that gave Horus its golden age. Since then, his spirit had remained forever connected to the living frequency of the planet. Suddenly, that sacred harmony cried out, not with words, but with pain. The solar convergence fields, the very heartbeat of Horus, had been wounded. Tharian stopped. The familiar golden light that had always surrounded his spirit flickered. He looked toward the distant stars. Memories from centuries ago came flooding back. Horus, what has happened to you? Drawn by the suffering of the world he had once saved, his soul crossed the endless cosmic currents, following the fading pulse of the solar convergence. At last, he arrived above Horus. Below him, millions of black warships covered the heavens. At their center floated the gigantic void sovereign. Tharian descended like a golden comet, his spirit blazing brighter than a sunrise. Even the uranium fleet's sensors failed suddenly. Alarms echoed across every command deck. Unknown frequency detected. No known energy signature. It is penetrating every shield. Inside the sovereign chamber, Morvain slowly turned. For the first time in centuries, someone had entered his flagship without permission. A radiant figure stepped from the golden light, a warrior clothed in living sunlight. Upon his right palm, the ancient auric mark burned once more. Morvain turned to him. Who are you? The chamber became utterly silent. Morvain and Tharian stood face to face. Join me next week for episode 7, The Guardian's First Duel. I'm Kitty the storyteller. Till then, keep dreaming, keep imagining till we meet for another adventure far beyond the stars.